Hey everyone, hello. What's up? I'm by myself. Yeah, tonight I had tentatively something planned with Jay, just another live commentary to follow up on the one we did about a week ago when we did the Steven Seagal classic Hard to Kill. And the idea there, like usually with a lot of the live commentaries we've done are various action movies, and we sort of bounce back and forth between ones that are, stupid and crappy like that to just sort of make fun of, and ones that are legitimately good. And plus, some of them are more, pure martial arts movies because I have a big interest in that, and Jay does it as a bit too. And things fell through for that. Jay had something he had to take care of, so we'll have to do that another time. So, but I still knew I was going to be up tonight for a while, had time and things, and I was going through movies, and I decided to just go for a martial arts one. And this is one, The Young Master from 1980, that like I know most people haven't seen or don't even know. It's one of Jackie Chan's earlier films as far as star and role goes, because I mean you can go all the way back into the 70s, and Jackie Chan pops up in movies as at least a stunt performer. But he's a few years into his career as a leading actor. This is actually directed by him too. It's the second movie he directed. The first was in 1978. He directed The Fearless Hyena. So this is notable for a few reasons, and it's also notable because it's the first film he did with the studio Golden Harvest, which he'd have like a long, fruitful relationship with going forward, and he'd direct and star in quite a few movies for them, among probably what most people consider, the best work of his career. And he got a lot of leeway from Golden Harvest. He had a lot of freedom as far as how he wanted to do things, which is why I think the movies turned out as well as they did. Because there's a little bit before that, before he got started experimenting with the big sort of crazy long stunt sequences. Those ones more sort of a pure old school, more wuxia style, film. What you expect from those sorts of movies. Set at sort of an unspecified time in the past in China. Usually maybe a semi-mythical sort of version of China too. Not so much here. This one is fairly grounded. You're not going to see people flying around in a more fantasy one like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon or something like that, right? But yeah, it's really hard to date some of these movies. Like some of these movies could be as far back as like, I don't know, I'm bad at naming the dynasties, but back towards like as far back as 1300s, 1400s. And some of them are as recent as like late 19th century, start of the 20th century, because those movies, they're not really making much of an attempt to be that historically accurate anyway. So all we know is this is China in the past. And we just go from there. Fairly straightforward story here. Now, I did say that thing about like not really having extended stunt sequences. I mean, the way this movie opens does have something kind of in that vein, in that you've got these rival martial arts schools engaging in a competition, the lion dance competition. I know it's a little confusing to call it the lion dance because it's like, aren't they dressing up as like the traditional Chinese dragons, where you have several people in a long suit, somebody's holding the head and the rest is the body and the tail and stuff? Because that's what we're going to see here. Although, again, I don't know. It seems unlikely, at least tonight, as of this recording, but maybe in the future people want to sync it up. That's cool. Because the other thing I wanted to ask, unfortunately, I don't think there's really anybody around to ask right, because again, nobody knew that this was going on or anything, so I don't even know if I'm going to go show up. But I mean, maybe I'll have to ask again if anybody does show up. So this is not one I own, although in the last year or so, I've really in earnest started to build a pretty solid collection of martial arts movies. And maybe I was too quick on the draw, because now I'm seeing that some of these sites I bought of from such as 88 Films, they have finally started having North American releases for these, Region A, and some are upcoming in the next little while. For instance, I just from Eureka Video, I bought Jackie Chan again, Police Story 3 Super Cop, and I'm really happy to have it. Now, I think this month, like this December, a Region A version is being released, but I don't mind, because to do this, I bought a region free player, so I gotta have a reason to use it anyway. So a lot of these ones from Eureka and 88 Films are they're region B, whatever, for the UK area, and only play there. But I've got a region free player, and they play great on that. So now going forward, I kind of have decisions to make for some of these, because some of these other ones I'm going to pick, well, now there's actually going to be pretty decent Region A versions of them coming out. I'm starting to get a headache. I can't believe this. I really want to do this, and now I'm not feeling well. I was going to stay in the dark, and I thought, I don't want this all dark. Even if it's just me with no backdrop, I don't like being in the dark, but I feel like that's made my head feel worse. But anyway, so no, I was getting back on track. I don't own this one, but just a little over a year ago, last November, several Jackie Chan movies showed up on Crave for me in Canada, and there was this one, which I hadn't seen, and this is how I saw it for the first time. Oddly enough, the middle movie of the Lucky Stars trilogy, called My Lucky Stars, which was really kind of ironic because at that time I had ordered the trilogy and I hadn't seen it yet, but it was a few weeks away from coming. But I managed to see that the middle one, My Lucky Stars, before actually getting it, just by sort of randomly showing up on Crave. Just that one, not the other two. The first two Police Stories, and I think Drunken Master 2 are also known as Legend of the Drunken Master. So for over a year, they've all been up. I was waiting, hoping, more would be added. They haven't. So I wanted to just sort of ask anybody, if you're in the US, say, and you have HBO Max, are those on there for you, or do you have any? Or, is there any sort of a selection of Jackie Chan and or, sort of classic martial arts movies on there? I'd be interested to know, because that's what's on Crave in Canada, which has HBO. And as far as HBO Max goes, we get some of it, we don't get all of it. And as Jay and I have discovered, the selection of movies can really vary, because at one point he had like the entire Hitchcock collection on there, and I had maybe 5 or 6 of the Hitchcocks. But here in Canada, we also get a lot of Cronenberg movies, and I'm not so sure if that's the case in the US. Although, again, not all. A lot are still missing. But anyway, so that's how I'm watching this now. The first thing that comes up in this version is the Criterion Collection. Like, does this have a Criterion release, like as a Blu-ray? I don't think so, or maybe I'll have to look into that too. Maybe it all ties into the Criterion channel. I don't know. So I'm about 4 seconds in. The first thing coming up is the Criterion Collection logo, and then it goes on from there. So this, of course, is the original Cantonese soundtrack with subtitles. Besides Jackie, you've also got Yun Bu in there, who I'll keep saying every time, because I think for the last 2 years, until like recently, I was calling him Yun Bao, which is wrong. It's Bu. I was mispronouncing it horribly. Not much excuse for that. I should have watched some videos too. But anyway, Yun Bu being, one of sort of the three dragons, as they were known. Jackie's the middle guy, Yun Bu's the younger, and the older is, of course, Sammo Hung. And Sammo himself would, just like Jackie, go on to direct a lot of movies. Yun Bu would only direct one. He did not really do directing. He directed one really crazy movie, I think, in the early 90s that I haven't seen. But it looks like some sort of crazy Chinese Highlander ripoff. I have to see it. It looks really crazy. But anyway, he's kind of the lesser known of the three dragons. They were all part of, again, a bigger group, the Seven Little Fortunes, which was more than 7. But this is going back to when they were children at the Peking opera school in the 60s, when they would do all sorts of choreographed, dances and acrobatics and things, and where they got their earliest training. And of the 3, Yun Bu really, I think, was great at that stuff, because he's the most acrobatic. He doesn't do much in this movie, but I mean, again, he's definitely a guy. He's super underrated. I don't know how well he is known in the West, unless you're a martial arts enthusiast like me. And even I came to him sort of late in life. Like, I recognized him here and there. I didn't think much. But anyway, he has a role in this movie too. Sammo Hung's not involved in this one. But anyway, without further ado, we'll get going. I don't think anybody's going to show up anyway, but I want to watch it. So I'll do a 3, 2, 1, and then go. It's not on 1. It's after. It's 3, 2, 1, go. That's how I do things. That's what we've always done things. So here's the young master. A 3, 2, 1, and go. I'll probably have to adjust the volume. I kind of let pop creep back into my diet. I have to let it get rid of it again. I'm going to try over Christmas when I'm with my parents. I hope the mic is working okay. That's one thing, again, about doing this by myself. I'm never really sure. See, I turned it way down. That still seems too loud. That's how it always goes. So I haven't seen this in a while. The first time I saw it was last November, but I've seen it at least once or twice since, because I've watched these movies over. But, yeah, I figured since I was going to be alone anyway, I might as well pick someone where I don't have to worry about, oh, does everybody have it? Like, I know most people don't have it, again, unless maybe perhaps it is on something like HBO Max, which I'd like to find out. Fortune Star, distributed by Fortune Star. Let's get to the movie. And there's the Golden Harvest logo. This is sort of the beginning of, not that Shaw Brothers didn't continue to do good movies, but there was a shift from the Shaw Brothers movies of the 70s to Golden Harvest in the 80s. Shaw Brothers would, of course, keep going, and they would produce good stuff, but they were sort of overtaken. This is Raymond Chow, of course. He's Raymond Chow, Leonard Ho. So bright and colorful. Beautiful. But they were the architects, or whatever you want to call it, of Golden Harvest, the Golden Harvest studio. But at this time, Golden Harvest is not a sure thing. I don't know how successful this movie was. Do I have anything that says that? Like, what it's yeah, how was its box office? Did very well in South Korea. So it seems like it was fairly successful, but not necessarily a big thing. So another thing here, as I'm reading, is that there's a longer cut, a 106-minute Hong Kong cut, and a 90-minute international cut. I think this is just the 90-minute cut, because I don't remember the movie feeling particularly long, but I could be wrong. So we have the school here, of which Jackie's character is part of. He's Dragon, so that's easy enough to keep track of. His name is Dragon in this. And he's supposed to be, yeah. I think he has to replace one of the performers. Like, yeah, one of the performers gets injured, and I think he takes his place. I thought Sammo Hung would at least be like in the background somewhere, but as far as I can tell, he's not in this at all. Because even there's, as far as, again, getting back to the three dragons, whatever, Jackie, Sammo, and Yun, they're in a lot of movies together, especially if you count just like as like stunt performers, like not necessarily characters. And then they're also in movies where like maybe one or two of them is the star, and the other guy or other guys show up in sort of various cameo roles. That's how you'd say something like the three Lucky Stars movies, the first Winners and Sinners, My Lucky Stars, and Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars. All three are in all three movies, but Yun Bu doesn't have much of a presence in any of them. And Sammo is the main character in them. And Jackie is kind of weird in that, like, he's important, but he'll also disappear for long stretches during those movies as it focuses more on the comedy and not Yun Bu, and Sammo and those characters. The humor hasn't aged or translated too well. It's pretty bad, but I still like them, and I mean it's made up for just by how great the action sequences are. Those are all Sammo Hung's, though. Those aren't Jackie's. But anyway, my point is, there's only 3 movies where all 3 of them have main starring roles. This is a couple years before that. It would be the first Project A movie, another, probably, again, by this time, Jackie had directed a few movies, but maybe where he really had sort of arrived as a director, because he was sort of really, you could tell he was really confident in what he was doing. He had some experience now, and he was still trying out new things. This is where some of the big stunt sequences would begin. So you have the first Project A. I'll tell you something weird. Might as well do a digression here too. So you know how Jay and I often remark that a lot of the movies that we cover on our show, the Movie Discussion Pocket Dimension, just so happen to be movies that are included on that list, just sort of an unofficial list that's been around for a few years, the 1001 movies to see before you die. That list has been around long enough that it's been updated multiple times. So actually, the number has swelled to well over 1,000. It's around like 1,200 or something like this point. But anyway, we've done a ton of movies that show up on that list. And it's an interesting list because it's a balance of kind of what you'd expect, something like, I don't know, Schindler's List or 2001: A Space Odyssey. Well, of course, you're on there. But then also to sort of more like crowd-pleasing movies like Back to the Future or Ghostbusters and things like that, too. So it's sort of a mix between, really highly regarded classics and the movies that are classics, but not necessarily as in the, in the critical way, although, I did pick movies that were well received critically. But, some are just more fun popcorn movies. And there's a decent amount of martial arts movies on there. I counted about 8 or 9, which isn't bad at all, considering it's kind of niche. And what's weird is that Project A isn't on there, but Project A2 is, which is, if you know the movies, feels incredibly weird because I think most people would agree the first one is better than the second one. And also, I think they're kind of even as far as what's in there. But what really puts the first one over the second one for me is the fact that I said all three are in there in starring roles, Jackie, Samo, and Yoon. Whereas the other two did not come back for Project A Part 2. So it seems really weird to me that is on there. Anyway, we're into the thing. I know nobody's watching. I mean, the lion dance is hard to explain, but I mean, just picture people in those Chinese dragon suits. And they're doing sort of like a little obstacle course thing here where they're jumping. And there's only two. There's two guys per suit to keep it a little more simple. One guy's the head, one guy's the back. And they have like a little sort of obstacle course here where you can't touch the ground, where they jump up on these small sort of barrels, open barrels, like where you could plant flowers in. And they have to make their way up a ascending sort of almost ladder of them to the top, all the while sort of performing these moves. And you can't fall. So again, it is sort of an early version of Jackie showing off sort of a stunt sequence that is not necessarily a fight scene. And I mean, does this stuff happen? I think it did. And they're showing incredible coordination here. See, they're flipping up a little stepladder bench thing here so they can make their way across. So, I mean, so incredible athleticism, which of course you can expect from all these movies, right? And it's a good way of showing it off, like, and you can see how it translates well to martial arts here too. But here, there's no fighting, no kicking. Oh, and yeah. Now Dragon is in trouble because the other team got kicked away the bench, so now they just have to do a very difficult jump together. It is really something to watch. I assume this probably would take quite a few takes. And building on that, I don't know if it was the next movie he directed, but 2 years from now, he did the 1982 movie Dragon Lord. And the opening sequence is another example of something that's not martial arts, but took a lot of coordination. And it still holds the records for most takes. I think it's something like 2,900 takes. And I cannot describe it to you, but it's so much more complicated than this because it involved tons and tons of people, basically groups of people forming massive human pyramids and movement. I mean, you can understand why it would take so many takes because it was incredibly complex. It required tons and tons of people being in sync and coordinated. So, oh man, and that's not even the only scene that took something like that because there's also like a little sort of game that they play later. It has less people, it's less complicated, but still, obviously, took a lot of takes. So this is kind of quaint in comparison, but still, you got four guys here, including Jackie as Dragon, and they're showing great athleticism, great balance and coordination. It really is something. But spoilers here, his team is going to wind up losing. But the other thing was, I think we're going to find out the guy that was who Dragon took the place of. He's sort of the star pupil of the school. See if I get his name here. Tiger, yeah. So Tiger's kind of like the star pupil, and then we saw he says he's hurt and he can't go. We find out later, I think, that he faked the injury because he made like a deal with the other school because they wanted to win. I don't know what you win for winning this. Maybe it's just an honor, prestige type thing. But as you might imagine, the rivalry between these schools is very fierce, which was a real thing in pretty much all eras. And we're going to go from there. It's what's going to create the plot of the movie here is that he's going to get found out and the teacher's going to angrily banish him. And Dragon is going to set off to bring him back because he feels like, it's too big of a loss and they should really try again, I guess. It's still going. They're up on top. Do this thing where they make the dragons look like they're eating lettuce, or lions, I guess they are. It's a lion dance. I don't know. So now they're fighting over some lettuce or something. And again, it's not exactly a fight. It's sort of just trying to get position. This is all on a crazy narrow platform. Almost as narrow as a balance beam. A little wider, but still crazy. And Dragon's partner has fallen down, but he's still holding on. Because I guess they'd be disqualified if he hits the ground. Is how it works. I mean, this is the type of thing where you don't need it explained to you. You watch it, and it's easy to figure out as it goes. Like, I know I'm describing to people, which I shouldn't do. I mean, the movie's the movie. Look it up, get it, watch it with my brilliant commentary for sure. I don't know. I felt like watching it again, even though I know I don't have like a million things to say or anybody to banter with. You know me, I can always think of shit to say, even if it's not worth much. Forget the rules. I was paid to win this. So I guess maybe somebody was betting on this or something. Whew. No sport, no athletic thing can escape the stigma of fixing and betting and all that. Currently, there's some sort of scandal out of the UFC and MMA. I think it's James Krause. He was a fighter. Now he's like a manager. He and like all the fighters that work under him have been banned from the UFC because of some sort of like a betting scheme or something they were allegedly involved in. I don't know. I find sports. I don't have like a moral objection to betting, but I do find sports betting really crass, and I hate that in the last like 2 years or so it's invaded the NHL. Now every time I watch like Hockey Night in Canada, they have this whole segment for one guy to like talk about the betting lines and I don't know all that garbage, and I don't know. I find it really crass. I get it. I mean, is the NHL that hard up for money? They have to like partner up with that. I don't know. And it's not like sports betting is harmless. We see how it like can get really serious and mess up people's lives, just like any sort of gambling, right? You can lose big and lose everything you have. I don't know. I don't have an objection to gambling or betting, but so a part of it feels like it's kind of crass to do it on some. I don't know. A lot of people really enjoy it, Some hockey game will happen, and I don't really watch those stuff anymore. But I mean, I used to go on boards where people make comments and idiots, just insulting each other and stuff like that. But some people have actually talked about the game. But some people are like, yeah, I made like $60 on this, and that's like endless on the MMA forums. All they ever seem to really care about is what they made up for betting. I'm like, I mean, I get it. It's fun. If you bet on something, you can just instantly make money without work. I understand the appeal. Like, I had $50. I bet it. Now I have $100. I didn't even do anything. It's a good feeling. It's not like I've never gambled. I actually used to have a real thing for blackjack. But, I've been pretty reasonable the last 10, 15 years, realizing that, I'm not in a position to go down the casino and play around with money. I've been lucky a few times, and I've been unlucky a lot more, just like most people are. I'll tell you that the most I ever won was I was in the middle of the worst breakup of my life. And I say middle because it kind of kept going. Back in 2007, when my life just imploded completely. Just like the worst kind of breakup you can imagine. Like all the shit that can happen happened. It was dramatic as fuck. And anyway, at this point, I don't even know what was going on. It was pretty much, it was over, but I was in denial thinking I could fix it, right? Anyway, my parents, I think I'd already been kicked out. I've been living with the girl and she kicked me out, which is not really a good way of putting it, considering like she couldn't have made the rent without my parents helping pay for it. But anyway, all that aside, and my parents had come up, I don't know, to help me or take me, I don't know, for the hotel. But anyway, we went to the casino. And I sat down at the table to play blackjack, which I'd done before. And I had $40. And through a lot of luck and mostly just not caring, because I was being very nihilistic, I don't give a fuck, I made, I think, $670 or something. I turned the 40 into almost 700. And my mother was actually there behind me, which was even worse because she always kept telling me to walk away. This is the time to walk away. And normally I would have, because that's how I used to play. I put 20 down, and if I could make 40, I'd be like, good, and I'd leave. But that night, I was just like, I don't care. I'll keep adding, So, I mean, that's the biggest wins of my life, and that was forever ago, and I could probably never duplicate it again. And at least I wasn't stupid enough to think I could. Because that's one thing, that's one thing I can't relate to. Because gamblers will talk about things like going on a hot streak. I mean, a hot streak is just luck. Again, it's still luck. A hot streak can end like that. He's like, oh, it'd be stupid to stop now. I'm on a hot streak. I think it's a good thing to stop. So I didn't keep going necessarily because I was on a hot streak. I thought I was being smart. I don't know. It's hard to remember now. It was a long time ago. It's kind of my thoughts are kind of a blur. It's hard to remember what my thoughts were. It's hard to remember the sequence of events, like when I started making bigger bets. I don't know. Or how many times I fell down. Or, I never fell down was one thing. It's like, obviously there were hands where I didn't win, but they were never bad. I guess is really what it was. And when I won well. So it went well. So yeah, I made a ton of money. Not that it made me one bit happy. That's not what I wanted. I didn't want money. Couldn't have what I really wanted. Where's that money now? Long gone. Well, thank you so much for sticking around to hear me talk about my opinions on betting. But I don't know. I do find it annoying. I'm watching Hockey Night in Canada, and they're like, now we'll go over to Cabby, and he'll talk about the betting lines or, terminology I don't even know. And I don't know. I think it's stupid. But if people want to, that's fine. I'm not about telling people what they can and can't do or anything. If it's legal, fine. Don't like it, though. All right, so Elvira talked to her. He already banished Tiger. I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, I don't understand how these schools work because there's the students are all male, but there are women around. But I'm not sure if is she just visiting. I don't know enough about. But again, I'm not sure what the time period is. They never really specify. I was blabbing about betting in blackjack and stuff. Did I already miss him? Their master. There's a master guy with the mustache. I mean, he's going to banish Tiger. Did he already do it? I don't know. Because I was blabbing. I don't even know what's going on here. They're trying to... One of the guys is with a girl. And they're trying to hide her, but it's not going to work. Master's already in a bad mood because they lost the competition. It's going to get worse. I have to say, besides, Yunbyu and Jackie, I'm not great at recognizing some of the characters and telling the difference. This is the young, long-haired Jackie. His hair quite long in this. Down to about here. So now he's been found with a girl, but I don't think he was with her. The guy that was actually with the girl took off, and Tiger there took his place, and he's going to take the blame for it. I mean, Tiger didn't actually do anything, but obviously it looks like he's been fooled around with this girl. Master's being kind of nice, and then the master seems all right, and he goes, okay, won't do it again, that's good. And then out of nowhere, just slaps him super hard. That's the other thing. When he banishes the other guy, he doesn't just banish him, he beats the hell out of him for a while, too. He's a very stern master. Now she has to do sort of a walk of shame, even though she didn't actually do anything. What's he seeing here? He doesn't help. I mean, is it Dragon Lungs? Let's see. Yeah, Dragon Lung. So it's a little confusing. So sometimes they call him Dragon, and sometimes they call him Lung. Yeah, they all. So yeah, at first he thinks, he smacks him again. So there's a big part of any of these movies, not just Jackie's movies, is misunderstandings, which is sort of a really old-fashioned comedy thing that's never gone away. It's been around that's what every Shakespeare comedy is. It's misunderstandings and mistaken identity. It's that's hilarious. They're treating this person like that because they think they're this person, And that's almost what's going on here. It's not mistaken identity, but there. Tiger has come forward and taken the blame that he's the one that took money. Oh, he actually used to work for them, okay. Or be part of that school. So Jackie, Dragon, is off the hook here for the moment because Tiger is taking the blame for taking the money, and not good at Chinese, but I know Sifu. That's master. Sometimes teacher. I'm still learning Japanese. Going slowly. I've had a bit of an interruption. Got to get back to it. But sometimes, I wonder how this stuff translates, because sometimes they'll say 3 syllables, and it'll be 2 sentences. It'll be how on earth does that translate into 2 sentences worth of dialogue in English? Are we changing it so much, or can they really say that much in a couple syllables? I don't know. Things like that happen. Or sometimes they'll say it'll be translated as a word I know, a thing like hello, goodbye, thank you, and stuff. And it's never that. So they obviously have multiple ways of saying those words, which makes sense. I mean, it's funny. English has so many synonyms. There's so many different ways to say things. But I mean, there's not much. I mean, we say thank you and we say thanks. I mean, what else can we say? Preach. It's some weird slang there. But not really. There, he's banished Tiger. Dragon, they all call each other brother. All right, new thing. Is this the other school? I don't know. The plot's pretty weird how it goes, because what happens is they lose the match or the competition. They find out it's because Tiger got paid by the other school to not participate. He gets banished. Dragon decides to run off to help him or bring him back, but on the way, authorities like the police or whatever mistake him for some escaped criminal who actually Tiger helped escape because of, I don't know, a debt or something. I don't know. Yeah, this is the other school. I mean, I say original Cantonese. I mean, original Cantonese soundtrack. I mean, I assume since they're in Hong Kong, the actors are speaking Cantonese. But the thing about all these like martial arts movies back in the day is they're all dubbed anyway. So even if you are a fluent speaker of Cantonese, you watch these movies, you can tell it's not syncing up. It's not actually, that it is dubbed. So it's interesting to think of like the approach as an actor in these scenes when they know what they say most likely is not actually going to show up on the soundtrack of the movie, that they're just going to dub over it again anyway. And sometimes it's the same actor and sometimes it's not. And that's all within Cantonese. That's before switching it to another language where, of course, it's different. Speaking of these movies, I was watching maybe my favorite movie so far that I've seen, because there's plenty more I still need to see, that Sammo Hung directed, Millionaire's Express, which is just a fantastic, wonderful collage potpourri of martial arts and awesomeness that has everybody in the Hong Kong film business at that time except Jackie in there. And it's kind of good Jackie's not in there because it's already crammed full. It would have been too much. But anyway, what was I going to say about that? It was something about Sammo Hung. Oh, yeah. So I've got like a 2-disc version of that. And that's funny because now one of the things that's coming out is like, I think in February, it's a Region A version's coming. So if you're interested in getting that movie, you don't need to get a region-free player like I did. In February, there's going to be a region-free release for that. And I kind of want to buy it all over again. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I shouldn't because I've got other movies to buy. But anyway, so that movie, that version, that set I had 2 discs with like about 3 or 4 different versions. And I finally watched the international English language, but I was interested to hear the dub, and it's actually shortened, or they cut out some scenes and things. But it was really interesting listening to the English dub because some actors are just, I mean, they're not even trying to find somebody that sounds remotely like the character looks. It's really funny. Like one of the main characters, I can't remember the name, but he's one of the comedic actors, actually. He's one of the stars of the Lucky Stars movie I was talking about. He's not one of the martial artists. He was a comedic actor. Anyway, he was well in the middle age. This is a guy who's like maybe around 50 at the time. And whoever they got to voice him in English sounded like he was like 25. It's funny. Yeah, so this is the other school. They're blabbing about winning the lion dance. Are they downtown? They're in town somewhere? I don't know. Some local eatery. Some kid has insulted them. And you do beat up a kid. This is Hong Kong cinema. They might. That's one of the things. I appreciate many of the obvious things about Hong Kong cinema, and you can hear me go on and whatever. But it mostly has to do with the quality of the action sequences and the martial arts and all that, and the stunts and all that. But another like a lesser known thing that I really appreciate, and I remember seeing it on Twitter too, because I follow a few accounts that are much bigger fans than me on this. They've seen way more, they know way more. One of them was just like another edition of "Fuck Them Kids" by Hong Kong cinema, because you can find quite a few scenes in movies where kids either get like killed outright or maybe just like brutalized, which a lot of Western movies just shy away from. Movies don't even like to show a kid in danger. You watch your typical Western action movie. If kids are involved, the bad guys are chasing them or taking them a hostage and threatening them, but nothing ever happens to them. And even if characters in that movie die, we know the kids won't die. And usually a lot of times, like a woman probably wouldn't even die. Hong Kong cinema, it's all out the window. And one of the ones they're showing, I don't even know what movie it was from, but the bad guy literally grabbed a kid who was 8 or 9 years old and tossed him onto the windshield of an oncoming car. It was incredible. It's like, what? You get some sort of sick pleasure of seeing kids get hurt? No, I'm just saying I kind of do enjoy the novelty of it and the fact that they do go there. It does make, even though the movies are not realistic, it makes that kind of realistic. Because in the real world, kids are not magically protected. Bad things happen to them. I'm not saying it's great or anything, but Anyway, no kids getting beat up here. They were just having some sort of public confrontation between people at the schools. Dragon is not present, I don't think. Oh, no, there he is. So Dragon's there too with his friends. But the master's going to show up. Yeah, haven't you all been shamed enough? No. It's like he's really embarrassed by them. He's not going to let them start a fight in public and look like sore losers. Apparently, Jackie got hit in the throat in this movie at some point, and he couldn't breathe, and like for like at least like a minute or so, like everybody was freaking out because like there wasn't anything they could really do, and he just couldn't breathe, and it looked like he was gonna pass out. But I guess he got his breath back because there's always at least one or two injuries that really stand out in the Jackie Chan movie. That's the one I can find in this, that he took a blow to the throat and was like couldn't breathe, he was going, and everybody was like, oh. But I mean, that's 1980. He had so much further to go, so many injuries. It really is an incredible thing about him. When you think about all the injuries he's incurred and the fact that like he never really took time off. I mean, everybody knows, and Jay and I have talked about this because we actually. Oh, okay. So here's the master beating the shit out of one of them, just smacking with the fan over and over again. But was we did Rumble in the Bronx together, and Rumble in the Bronx, he famously breaks his foot jumping onto the hydrofoil or whatever it is, and then he had to finish the movie with like his foot in like a boot cast thing, and then he went right after that and did the movie Thunderball or Thunder something. And obviously that's probably the movie where like it's just a myth that Jackie, like nobody ever doubled for Jackie. Jackie's been doubled here and there. It doesn't, I don't think it takes away from him at all, because he's done amazing things and he can do amazing things. Sometimes you just need to use a double to get a shot better or whatever. So obviously I think that's probably the movie where he's doubled the most, because he wasn't even fully healed from the injury. But slow down. Maybe just take some time off and injure and heal properly. I don't know. Pretty remarkable. So one of the things I think that really, I'm getting ahead of myself again, but really stands out to me about this movie in Jackie's oeuvre that makes it a little different is the end fight in this movie is just as we're going to talk about, it's just going to be a straight fight with two dudes on a hilltop. It's not in an interior thing. There's no furniture or machinery or weird architecture or windows or objects of any kind. It's two guys on a hilltop just duking it out hand to hand. And it's a really long fight, too. Now, it has some breaks in between, because even though it's an actual fight, it's kind of treated in a way almost like it's for sport. And we'll get there when we get there. It'll be a while before we get there. So right now, we're just having a scene of the master just beating all of his students and yelling at them until calling them all worthless. But Tiger can't take it anymore. Not Tiger. Tiger's already gone. So Jackie, Dragon, can't take it anymore. So now he's, saying, enough is enough. Stop this. And now in a minute, he's going to, he's just saying how it's like a family, how a lot of them are orphans and stuff, and they don't pay fees, and this is their home. Have you gotten through to him? Or is he going to smack you too? And he's like, you seem to dislike me the most, but you're hitting everybody except me. Anyway, the whole thing here is he's going to offer to go bring Tiger back. That it was a mistake to drive Tiger, Brother Jing, away. I mean, it's not a bad emotional scene, really, from Jackie here, Not bad acting, really. He's showing some real emotion. I'm not saying it's amazing or anything, but I mean, I don't think I could convey this sort of emotion. I'm not an actor. I can do, some casual acting, but if I had to do a scene like this, I probably would really struggle. But he's doing it. And Jackie's pretty young here. Jackie's 26 years old here. Now you're thinking, he was 26 in 1980? Yeah, that's right. Like, it was really his 30s were his heyday. He's in his 60s now. And his movies aren't really good anymore. But I mean, some of that has to do with he just can't do the same things he does anymore. But even if you take that out, like a lot of them have like crappy plots and stuff. I mean, I haven't watched all of them. I watched a few of them. The last probably good movie he's done, from what I've heard, is Railroad Tigers, which I haven't seen yet, but I want to. I think it's on Netflix. I'll have to get around to it. That's the sad thing, at least about Canadian Netflix. You look at Jackie Chan, and it's just like The Medallion or Shanghai Nights. It's like, wow, thanks so much. I'm not saying there isn't anything to be gotten from watching those movies, but I just mean anybody knows that his heyday was the 80s and a bit of the 90s. And Hong Kong movies rather than American movies. He still did some good things in some American movies. I'll always like the Rush Hour movies. They're fun. And remember, Jackie started those in his mid-40s. And he's not directing them. Oh. So now he's come up against one of the guys from the rival school. Here's some of the physical comedy. Guy tried to, you don't need to describe. He's getting ready to. You're not very stable for a fat man, are you? The guy's not that fat. I mean, for a martial artist, he's a bit fat, and that's really the story of Sammo Hung's career. That's how you recognize Sammo Hung of the three. Is it? Sammo Hung was a bit overweight. He was always stocky, had a bit of a gut, and yet he was an incredible martial artist and surprisingly fast and agile. In the third Lucky Stars movie, Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars, he has a great fight with Australian martial artist Richard Norton, and they do all sorts of crazy stuff in it. But there's a great moment where he's up on a table for a second, and he doesn't backflip off it. He does one of those sort of like almost like side flip type things. It's hard to explain, but you know it if you saw it. And according to Richard Norton, I saw him interviewed about it years later. Richard Norton said like he explained the scene to him. He's like, I'm gonna flip off that. He basically does sort of like a half flip, and he goes right over Richard Norton's head and land behind him. And he explained the scene to him. He's like, you're gonna do that? It's like, that's the scene. And then he sees it, and he's like, and we did it like 7 times. Like, so some incredible athleticism by Sammo Hung. But anyway, they really leaned into the fact that he's overweight too. Like almost every movie, like, and I guess it makes sense. Like everybody points it out, even his friends. They're like, "Hey, fatty, what's going on, fat ass?" The movie I watched last night, Millionaire's Express. It starts with it's set I think in 1939, and it's supposed to be on the Chinese-Russian border. And he thinks he sees a bunch of dead Russian soldiers, and he's going to try to like take stuff from their corpses. It turns out it's some sort of like a training exercise. And they all come too, and then of course they capture him, and they bring him to this cabin, and they strip him, and they make him sort of dress up like a woman and dance. And again, the whole thing is like they're just sort of mocking him for being kind of fat. So he leaned into that in all his movies. It's funny because like as a guy who's still making movies, and he's even older than Jackie, like it seems like the difference is all his later career roles were all super serious. Like I remember him in Ip Man 2, which is, has no comedic elements in whatsoever. He's like the master that the English guy just beats the absolute hell out of in the ring. Who, Donnie Yen as Ip Man sort of has to avenge. And there's several other movies too where he's sort of like an older, master, and he's very dignified. And it's weird because I'm just so used to him being so goofy and silly. Anyway, there was a bit of a fight scene there, nothing special. And it was another thing around this time where you watch movies from this era or the Shaw Brothers Studios movies. There's sort of like a rhythm to the fights that is very entertaining, but also is very artificial. It feels like everything is almost not half speed. It can be fast, but there's always like a beat in between movements. And it's a very give and take sort of back and forth thing that makes it feel very choreographed and not like a real fight. A guy go, and then it'll be like a brief pause before the other guy comes back, and and they do. I can't really do it with just my hands because obviously there's kicks and flips and all. But you know what I mean? A guy will come and do like a series of 3 or 4 moves, and then there'll be sort of like a half a beat of like a pause, and then the other guy will answer. And people always say it's almost like a dance. So what we have here is a fugitive is not a fugitive, a bad guy, a criminal is being transported. And the convoy here, whatever you want to call it, they're on foot, and he's in just a wagon. Only 3 guys have attacked them, and they all have swords, but these 3 guys are going to beat the hell out of them and free this guy who's like a very dangerous criminal. The criminal's called the White Fan. Or no, Cam. It's confusing because there's somebody. Okay. So, no, that's White. That must be White Fan there. So White Fan must be one of the guys that frees Cam or however you want to say it. Because later, when Jackie Dragon is coming around, he gets mistaken for White Fan. But the main bad guy here is the guy they're trying to free. Yeah. So I don't know who that guy is. It's probably not a name I would know. It's hard because everybody, again, has like two names in this. Anyway, nice movements here. So, yeah, these three guys are going to take out all the guards, and there's like 15 guards. And they had swords. What? Yeah. Long-haired guy in white with a fan, and guy with some sort of strange rope or something. So now that there's a few guards left, and his guys are backing off because they know he'll want a piece of these guys. It's like, oh, we'll let him finish them. It's pretty good. Nice camera work there, kind of. Not too bad, Jackie. You really do see Jackie over time, if you watch the movies he's directed, how he grows as a director, the techniques he picks up, the things he learns, the things he tries out. There's already a difference. This is much faster. I guess they're trying to show, like, this guy's much more brutal than the other guys. Little Hapkido lock there, and we'll get to that in a minute. That was kind of some weird editing there, okay. That didn't seem to go right. Suddenly he's just sidekicking that guy. I mean, this still looks good. I'm not too sure about the editing here. Some of it didn't seem to... Anyway, he beat the hell out of those guys, and now his men are here. Happy to see him. But no, he starts... Oh, it's just a joke. Okay. It's like, you gonna fight us too? All right, and they have like some like nerdy clerk guy with glasses. He'll figure in the end there too. Right, so he says, "Who's this guy? Is that Tiger?" I'm already getting confused. He said he didn't recognize him. Does that mean Tiger helped them? I think so. Yeah, so Tiger was the guy in white there. So the other two guys and the clerk, they know Calm, they work for him. But Tiger striking some sort of deal helped free them. Right, so now Jackie Dragon is being seen out in public with a fan. And I think people are going to just mistake him for him. Somebody's watching for a second. Oh, well. Too bad. I got excited. I was like, is that somebody? Even if they're going to tell me they've never even heard of this fucking movie. But, it's not too surprising. Hopefully Jay's doing all right, and we'll be able to do something soon. Forces have... I feel, the last few months we've gotten almost nothing done on our show. I feel... There's so much I want to do on the show. It's nobody's fault. Sometimes he can't do it. Sometimes I can't do it. But it is frustrating because we like doing it, and we're not quitting or anything like that. And I think we're actually getting better. So we really were hoping to do an episode this week, and it didn't work. So now it's this week coming up. I can't make promises because it just keeps not happening, but we're going to try. So what's going on here? Okay, yeah. So these are the cops. They're in the blue. And they think I guess he's Tiger because he's dressed in white and has the fan. So they're going to try to arrest him. Five cops with swords. Unless the fugitive we're chasing after you is your double. I mean, he's not. They don't even look that much alike. But, I don't know. Police work wasn't really great back then. Don't arrest him, chop him to pieces. But it does show, sometimes we've seen, in something like Drunken Master, this is a character Jackie's playing who is very confident and aware of his skill. Because he's not at all worried about 5 armed cops coming after him with swords. And he does handle them quite easily as we see here. That's a nice thing. I bet you that. This is before Jackie started showing the bloopers. That probably took a bit. The thing to kick a sword on the floor up into his hand. It's good to see some weapon fighting. Because that's another thing they would have learned. There's a really good scene in what a lot of people think Sammo Hung's best movie, Pedicab Driver, where he fights with like a really cool long spear pole thing. It's really good. I saw Cynthia Rothrock do that recently too. I say do that recently in 1986. I mean, I recently saw the movie. I got The Magic Crystal, which is just a crazy B movie that also has, again, the aforementioned Richard Norton in it. But it was an early starring role for Andy Lau, who was not a martial artist, but obviously could do some shit. Yeah, it seemed like if you were a Chinese actor coming up, you had to do some martial arts to get anywhere, because Andy Lau would go on to, do more standard roles. Definitely one of the most popular and successful Chinese actors of his generation. Big fan of him. He and Tony Leung are just both so awesome, and they've been in at least a couple movies together. And if you go back to the last episode that Jay and I did, we did do the Chinese movie. We did Chungking Express, which starred Tony Leung. And I know I probably talked about Andy Lau in that, so I would really hope sometime in the future we can do a movie that features Andy Lau. But anyway, this was mid-'80s B movie martial arts, kind of a rip-off of E.T. Shitty, low-budget, stupid movie, but still fun. And Andy Lau, before he would have been a star. But he is really good, and he takes it seriously. And he does do some impressive martial arts in it. Probably was doubled in a few places, but there's lots of places where you can tell it's definitely him. So he had some moves, he had some training. This actress is what's her name? Lily Lee. Lily Lee is playing the daughter of Sang Kung. I'm trying to remember who the hell Sang Kung is. I guess he's just some guy, really. Anyway, there's this guy Sang Kung that Dragon's gonna meet. That's his daughter, and he also has a son, and that's who Yoon Bu plays. So he handled the cops quite easily, as you might expect. But Lily Lee, what else was she in? Mostly TV. She did do movies, but she was TV. Oh, that can't be Lily Lee. That must be somebody else, because... Well, it could be. I mean, she'd be quite... I don't know. Lily Lee is quite a bit older than the others. All right, so they're in black there. That's Yoon Bu. So we get Jackie and Yoon Bu having a bit of a fight here. Yoon Bu be 23 years old here. I don't know if Yoon Bu has had a starring role in a movie yet. I think a year after this, he would star in the movie Dreadnought. I think it's 81. I'm not sure. And something I found out only a couple years ago that sort of blew my mind is in the movie Dreadnought, it's sort of the story. I can't remember the story exactly, but he's kind of like an everyman character, and he's not really supposed to be a good martial artist and anything like that. And the whole thing is he gets mixed up with bad guys and they have to fight, blah blah blah. But there's a whole scene where he's like doing laundry, and it reveals that he has amazing martial arts skills that he never knew about. And if you're wondering what does that mean exactly, remember Batman Forever? Remember Batman Forever, 1995, Val Kilmer. And remember our Robin was Chris O'Donnell. Remember the scene where Chris O'Donnell as Dick first starts living at Wayne Manor, and of course Bruce is never around because he's busy working as Batman. And Alfred is just sort of trying to keep an eye on him, and then he notices that Dick just says like, "I can't have somebody waiting on me. I grew up in the circus. We do our own work." And then he has that scene where he does like laundry stuff with badass skills. That's where it came from. It's a tribute or an homage to Dreadnought. Isn't that crazy? But apparently, yeah, like the moves he does are all based on that same scene of Yoon Bu doing the same thing almost 20 years earlier. So that kind of blew my mind to find out, like, because I mean, it is an obscure movie. Any way you want to slice it. Even among movies that Yun Bu is the star of, which, are lesser known amongst most people, I don't think that's really one people would name necessarily. So I don't know whose idea it was, who saw that movie. It was like, yes, Dick should do that to show that he's got some martial arts skills. He should, I don't know, kick a mop around and wring out some wet stuff. Yeah, you remember the scene. And probably you can see the original scene in Dreadnought. I think you can see that on YouTube. So their fight was sort of inconclusive, and now Dragon unknowingly has met the father, Sang Kung. I don't think Yun Bu's character gets named. He's just Sang Kung's son. But yeah, it says here that Lily Lee plays the daughter. I mean, it's not like she would have been old. She would have been like 30. And I mean, obviously, a lot of Asian people can pass for younger. It's interesting, though, to think that she is older than both Jackie and Yun Bu. She'd be like almost 7 years older than Yun Bu. But there, he's finding out, what, that's your son? Oh, wait, he doesn't know it's a son, though. Yeah, there's this whole thing where he talks about how a maniac attacked him. And he's going to very slowly realize, oh, you know him? No, it's my son, actually. But I guess he just thinks it's funny. So he doesn't tell him. So he doesn't know it's his son. I guess he's bored and just wants to see them fight. I don't know. Does he even talk in this? So far, he hasn't said a word. Maybe he wants to see how good Dragon is, or maybe he literally would like to see somebody beat up his son because his son's kind of arrogant. I don't know. That little bench thing is a lot like the one that I was trying to describe at the start during the lion dance competition. It's a little higher, but at the beginning when the other team kicked it away and they had to make the jump without it. So this is kind of minimalistic as far as using props, but it is a prop. They're both making use of this bench and sitting on it. So you have a bench? I'll have a bench. Bench fight, obviously. Yep. He's just amused. That's the thing about things like this. Like in real life, somebody could actually really get hurt, but nobody's gonna really get hurt here. Not that they don't show the consequences of violence. Like at the end of the movie, spoilers, Jackie's character is going to win that fight, but it shows that it took everything he had, and he's I think he's in a full body cast at the end of the movie because he takes such a beating. Oh yeah, now he's ready. Do you want to beat this rascal? Use the fan. You'll need a pole. It's of course, good idea. Thanks, old man. I'll beat your son with a pole. This is almost a low energy fight for Yun Bu when you get used to seeing his scenes, because he's a highly agile, acrobatic guy, which is why I enjoy all three of them, of course, and I don't put anybody above it. But it's why I watched. I forgot to finish my thought way back when I was saying there's only 3 movies that have all 3 of them in starring roles. So, the first one was Project A. The other 2 don't come back for Project A Part 2. The second one is Wheels on Meals, which everybody knows about because that has the famous fight between Jackie Chan and Benny the Jet Urquidez. And the third one is Dragons Forever. And I figure the title is sort of a tribute to that because it's the last movie they all did together before sort of going their separate ways. It's funny, I watched that with the commentary not too long ago, and they made it sound like they didn't know that was going to happen. And they said, well, Dragons Forever turned out not to be true because right after that, I thought that was the whole point. I thought they knew that they were going to go their separate ways and not be in movies together, and this was a last hurrah. But anyway, my point is in that movie, that's the third movie where all 3 of them have starring roles. And in that one, for sure, Yun Bu is my favorite. not only is his character just crazy and weird and so different from what he usually plays, but I think his fight scenes and stunts and stuff actually steal the show in that. I think he overshadows the other two just a little bit because he moves so well. He does awesome stuff. That movie also has Benny the Jet Arquito, so that's the second fight scene that Jackie has with him. Not quite as good as the one in the first one, but still very good. And actually, it starts by Yinbu having his great scene where he beats up a bunch of guys, but then when Benny, who looks bizarre as hell, looks like he's wearing makeup and his eyes look really sunken into his head and his forehead. I don't know what is going on. Anyway, he's over there mixing drugs because they're in a factory where they're selling drugs and stuff. Anyway, he does this awesome jumping kick and knocks him out. And then Jackie has to fight him. So this fight is still happening. And he still does not know that that's his son. Oh, now the old man hits me? What is going on? He does the worst. I want to say like how the tables have turned, but it doesn't work as a pun because it's a bench. Oh well. Oh, is that what he is? Is he chief of the police? So the father is actually the chief of police. And now he is arresting him, I guess. I remember this. I remember this bit. He's taking him through the woods to take him, I guess, to the police station or the jail or something. I remember what happens here. Yeah. So the son did have a few lines there, but he says this because he's like, what was that all about? He's like, my son pisses me off. So that's really what it was. He's annoyed by his son. So he thought it might be a good thing to have his son fight some stranger. But yeah, I remember this. There's going to be like some quicksand or a bog or something here. He left his hands free so he can take a whiz. Come on, a little privacy. Oh, this is a trope as old as time, right? You have somebody who's in police custody or in the custody of a bounty hunter or something like that. And they're like, I need to pee. You got to let free my hands so I can pee. And it's like, oh, I need you to back off and give me space. Yeah. So many moves that. And on his own, he runs right into a bunch of quicksand. The old man knew, though. So I guess they created that. I guess that's artificial. This place is called the Thieves' Toilet. Wow, that sounds lovely. I thought you wanted to arrest him. You want him to drown in mud? You're a very strange man, especially as a cop. All right, he makes him sing. You're going to regret this in a minute. So now he's singing London Bridge in Cantonese. Which suggests this is what? Late 19th century, I guess. Again, they're kind of fast and loose with that stuff. You know, if you watch Project A, it's like, it's old Hong Kong. And if you really want to get picky about it, like when that Navy was in place and certain technology they use, because first you're like, it could be as early as the 1870s, and then you find out, no, this couldn't. I don't know. It's a pretty wide thing. It's like it could be as early as the 1870s, and as late as like the 19 teens or even 20s or something like that. They were never too concerned, right, about historical accuracy in those movies. It's just more about, the story and the sets. Helps him out. Yeah, so he doesn't knock him into it on purpose. He actually just sneezed. Wait a minute. You're going to change your mind, right? Yeah, he lets him out, but I think he changes his mind. Because it's going to wind up right back in there. You're a good person. You could have run away and left me. Hey, wait, you're right. Shoves him back in. Oh, he offers to sing. I think he sings the same song. Let's see. Never mind, it's terrible. Really, you were expecting some sort of bravura performance from the old man sinking in the muck? I thought you would really sing that well. Yeah, you can see how that's a set. It looks. I mean, it's an impressive set for an outdoor thing. But, so he managed to help him out without and still get away. What is happening now? Where are we at in the movie? I'm at 56 minutes, 20 seconds. Still a fair amount to go in this. Maybe this is the Hong Kong version. This seems like it's longer than 90 minutes. Perhaps this is the Hong Kong cut. It's the only version I've ever seen. I've only ever seen it on here. So was that the daughter? Again, 30. It's not old. It never says that she can't be older. Oh, that'll do it, yeah. Comes right off. Yeah, that must be her, because there's not really any other female character in the movie besides the girl we saw before that he got in trouble for being with at the school. So she doesn't get a name either. She's just Sang Kung's daughter. That's Lily Lee. Yeah, I was going to look at her filmography there. Still a lot of made-for-TV stuff. But, I mean, this isn't made for TV. I mean, she'd be well into her 70s now. Yeah, quite a few Shaw Brothers movies. Oh, small role, but I mean, she's in the Come Drink With Me. Small role, but anything I've seen besides Come Drink With Me? Oh, she's in Challenge of the Masters. I saw that. 76. Executioners from Shaolin. Saw that. 77. And she's in 8 Diagram Pole Fighter. Oh, she's in the sequel to 36 Chamber, Disciples of the 36 Chamber. So yeah, I've seen her several times. It's just I don't know. It's hard to keep track of all these people. It's weird on this Wikipedia thing. It does not even seem to mention the young master on her. Oh no, because that's Shaw. Okay, that's just Shaw. So then there's independent. Yeah, hers was broken down by studio. That's interesting. So I was like, it doesn't show it, but yeah, there is the young master. Oh, the movie. Oh, that's funny. So that movie Dreadnought I was talking about, starring Yun Bu. In this movie, she is Yun Bu's sister. She's also Yun Bu's sister in that movie, Dreadnought. That's weird. Maybe they knew each other? I don't know. Anyway, yeah. She'd be a few years older than the others, but it's not like you can tell. It's probably fairly negligible. And it doesn't even really matter. It's not like she can't be a few years older. It's just she's the guy's daughter. I was just a bit surprised that she's older than I thought she was, that's all. She'd be 72 now. I mean, she doesn't do any martial arts in this movie, but to be in so many, she must do some somewhere. I can't remember. I've seen her in several movies apparently, but I don't remember. So at this point, he does not know she's the sister or daughter or whatever of the two that he just got away from. Runs into the son, then the father, the daughter. Nice bamboo shower stall. Except this is the exact same place the police chief comes to clean off. Oh, what a coincidence. Well, he managed to keep his sword. Yeah. She left to go to the groceries. But there seems to be somebody in my shower. Oh, he thinks it's his son. More mistaken identity. Hilarious. I wonder what kind of soap that would be given the time period. It's not like they didn't have soap back then. Still, that looks very foamy. Did they have anything that foamy back then? I don't know about the history of soap. I don't even use soap. My skin is too sensitive for soap. It's true. Even a moisturizing soap will dry out my skin, so I have to use body washes that are not soapy. What is the phone saying? It doesn't matter. Don't worry about the phone. Okay, that exact musical sting is from like some Disney movie. Which shouldn't surprise you because a lot of these martial arts movies, both Golden Harvest and Shaw, they did have original scores sometimes. Other times they did just lift scores from other movies. And that I'm sure that's what this is. I can't place the movie, but that sounds really familiar to me. Oh, he's grabbing me. It's a fair amount of nudity. Is this the most I've ever seen of Jackie's body? Yeah, what's going on here is there's 2 shower stalls, and they're in each one next to each other, separated by a wall. They each know somebody's there, but they don't know who it is. He thinks it's his son. I don't know what Dragon thinks. He had soap in his eyes, so maybe he doesn't know somebody's there. But he must, because the guy almost like grabbed his ass, which I guess would have been the height of hilarity in 80s Hong Kong. That man almost filled up that other man. I don't know. That'd be a big thing in a lot of, not just Chinese movies, just movies in general in the 80s. There'd be like weird gay panic jokes. I mean, even in the 90s, like remember, I mean, I like Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. It's ridiculous, but I can like it. But remember the whole thing, like he finds out the guy he's been hunting for is actually a man who's been posing as a woman all this time. And I mean, all they did was like kiss at some point, and then like there's this whole scene of him going, like brushing his tongue, and I mean, I guess at the time, contemporary audiences thought like nowadays it's like, oh, who the fuck cares? But back then, I guess again, the point of hilarity, high point of hilarity, the epitome of like, I don't know. Some nice antique furniture. I guess wouldn't have been antique back then. Oh yeah, something with the fish here. What's gonna happen here? Something happens with the fish. We'll get some fish, some goldfish. Why would you do that? You were just laying around. I don't think you could scare fish that way. He scared the fish so much it jumped out of the bowl. If you just put it back in the water, maybe. Oh, and here's what I realize. It's you again. Oh boy. Like, you won't escape from me again. He's like stops. It's like, that's an interesting thing to say. That poor fish, if you just put it back in the water, it might be okay. Instead of pointing it at him. Who is that actor? Who is Sang Kung? That's Shi Qian. Died in 2009. Ah, yes. Okay, yeah. So he was the main bad guy, the guy with the weird that had owned the island and had the claws. Yeah, he was the main bad guy in. So everybody's seen him because he's the main bad guy in Enter the Dragon. He's the guy that Bruce Lee fights at the end, right? The guy that owns the island, and they have that weird fight in the Hall of Mirrors. He's got the. I should have recognized him. Jackie's also in Enter the Dragon. He doesn't have like a part, but he's in there as a stunt person. Jackie's in in several of the the Bruce Lee movies. And speaking of Sammo Hung, at the very beginning, when Bruce Lee is doing sort of like a demonstration for some people, and he's fighting sort of a husky-looking guy. Speaking of husky, that's Sammo Hung that he beats up there. So even in the early 70s, Sammo Hung had a bit of that extra girth. That's a cool gold sword. So we see a bit of his Jackie's signature acrobatics here, just sort of moving around with the furniture. Had he done this in movies before, or is this the start of it? I don't know. I can't remember him doing it in Fearless Hyena or Drunken Master. I've seen Snake and Eagle's Shadow, but it's all sort of a blur. It's not a very memorable movie. It's surprising to think just how many movies he actually, not just like as a stunt person in, but actually starred in before he sort of had his breakthrough. But I mean, at this point, we're already past it. He's directing this movie. This is the second film he's directed. Oh, we got some sped up here for comedic purposes. I don't remember doing that again in a movie. Oh, right, he's got that. I can't remember what that is, but yeah, he's doing everything. This trope will be flipped on Jackie in lots of later movies where somebody has like a priceless artifact and they're doing their best in a fight scene to like, yeah, so that's like some sort of pipe from like the Tang Dynasty or something. And he keeps threatening to break it. What are they doing? Oh, and it goes around. After fighting. I'm really worried about the other fish. Oh, daughter's come home. I have no reason to think the mic isn't working. I don't know. Not, I'll delete this. He's your father? You've got children everywhere. I mean, it's two kids. Oh, yeah, okay, she's going to do a little fighting here. But again, it's the sort of the slow, elegant. Plus, she's got like a big dress thing on that she has to keep lifting. But yeah, showing some of her kung fu here, too. Yeah. I forgot that she had a little bit of fighting in this movie. I was going to say, she couldn't be in all these movies without having a few fight scenes. Okay, there, that's probably not her, given the way they're shooting it. Showing it from the waist down there. I don't know, though. That's her doing the spins. Full splits there. Comedy. Yeah, so her thing is all kicks. She doesn't seem to throw any punches. It's all spins and kicks. Nice cartwheel. I mean, a lot of people can do cartwheels, but still. My cartwheels are shit now. I used to be able to do them. Thing is, you can't practice them. Like, where am I going to practice them? I mean, I'd be embarrassed to, like, go practice them somewhere. You know, I'm a 39-year-old guy. I don't want to be seen. Like, if I'm going to do cartwheels in public, I want them to be perfect. I don't want to be seen, like, messing up a bunch of times first. So, you know, I can't do them here. Because if you go back far enough, I'd be terrified to try it now. My handless cartwheels were better than normal cartwheels. Because normal cartwheels, I couldn't get the balance right. I would tip one way or the other. Handless cartwheels, you're in the air for that second. So, you know, balance doesn't really come into it as far as side to side goes. So I was better at a handless cartwheel. Now, I haven't attempted a handless cartwheel in about 4 years. I'm kind of afraid to try again. I feel the same physically. I think I can still do it. But again, it's the type of thing where I need to be somewhere with a mat to feel good about it. I'm not going to just go out to the public, to the commons there. Like, I'll just do a handless cartwheel here on the hard ground in front of strangers. Like, not a good idea. In the day, I could do them. What I always really wanted to get good at, and I did it maybe once or twice successfully when I was in junior high, was I could flip off the wall, you know, where you sort of run up the wall and backflip off of it. I did that a couple times when I was like 13 or 14. And it's hard. I mean, you have to go fast and you have to get your foot up about as high as your head and really push off well. That's something I'm sure I couldn't do as an adult. It's too bad though, you know, because like If I was younger, I could at least show people, like, I mean, if I was younger and that, like, younger now, back then somebody would have filmed that shit on their phone, but I don't have any proof of that. I can't show anybody. But, yeah, people, we couldn't film stuff on our phone in 1997. All right, so finally, they're not going to try to arrest him? Or is he just having some sort of truce with the family? I don't know. As usual, he's annoyed by his son. Why should I always belittle you? He's also completely unconcerned. I like that too. Like, his dad does belittle him and say he sucks and all this stuff, but the son doesn't seem to care. Okay, they put leg chains on him, which would be another sort of staple of a lot of Jackie movies and fights, which is kind of interesting. Is usually like he's almost always at like some sort of disadvantage. Not just a numerical disadvantage, like 5 or 6 guys or more coming after him, but we've seen quite a few movies where he's impaired in some way. He's handcuffed, or he's handcuffed to somebody, or things like that happen in a lot of movies. So here he's got leg irons. He can still walk around, but I don't really remember what happens here. Climbing a rope. I guess he's just trying to escape. Maybe don't sing while doing it. Oh, the old man's up there. Oh, it's not the old man. That's him. Okay. So that's actually impossible. It's like he teleported. Let me guess. Now that he goes down and looks over, he's there? For the sake of comedy, I get it. Oh, there's the bad guys. I think that's the bad guy's underling with the glasses. Are there 2 nerdy middle-aged guys with glasses and big ears in this? I don't know. We have the white fan is going to rob the bank. White van? Yeah. And at this point, he thinks he has white fan. But Dragon is not white fan. Yeah, he says that it is his informer. So I don't know if that guy is loyal to Com or he is actually an informer. I don't know. Maybe he's playing both sides here. If you don't release me, I'll sue you. I wonder what the legal system was like there back then. Another interesting thing about Dragons Forever is of the 3 of them, they're sort of playing against type. Maybe that's why some audiences didn't really like it, because Jackie plays a lawyer, and he's kind of like a slick lawyer, and he's a skirt-chasing kind of womanizer character too. Now, there's not too much of that really, though, because the whole point of the movie is like he meets a woman that he does fall in love with, and he's not, just trying to sleep with her, like he's genuine. So it's not that far, but still, I guess that was enough to put people off because they weren't used to seeing Jackie in that thing where he's like hitting on women, and I don't know. But it does have, he's a lawyer, and there's at least a couple courtroom scenes in it. Of course, there's a courtroom scene that Jay and I watched in Police Story 2 when they're going to release the bad guy. Or is it Police Story 1? It might be in both. But it's really melodramatic. It's really like romantic comedy melodrama schlock, the whole courtroom scene in Dragons Forever, because he has this whole thing where he's actually cross-examining the woman himself. And he actually, I can't get into explaining it, but at one point he has to ask, like, do you love me? It's like, how the hell is that relevant to this case? But he gives this long speech and everything. So there's the actual white fan guy. Oh! They call him Kim here, but it's called Com there. I don't know. It's the criminal. So they've betrayed Tiger and use him as the scapegoat. Okay. So now Tiger's locked up. Well, you can see here. All right, I forgot about this weird old beggar guy. Beat up that old man. Or is that a weird beggar guy, or is that Jackie in disguise? You think I'd remember? Shit. I'm so easily fooled. He's in different clothes and has a beard. I don't know who the hell it is. And I can't really go by voices. So, yeah, we get to see some drunken style here. It's just, I guess, really popular. I mean, so many of these movies have some character that uses some variation of, drunken style, drunken kung fu, drunken boxing, whatever. The funny thing about the two Drunken Master movies, of course, is like they make it seem like you have to be actually drunk to do it, which of course is not true. The whole point is you're imitating the awkward movements of a drunk. But it is pretty funny that in those movies, like Jackie's just like just gulping down like wood alcohol or something, like it's water. I mean, it's implied at the end of Drunken Master 2, Legend of Drunken Master, like, that's how weird, and this is 1994 by then, like, how weird humor was in Hong Kong cinema. Because after he's beaten everybody and stuff like that, it's implied he suffered brain damage and has blinded himself from drinking, like, that pure alcohol to win the last fight. And that's how the movie ends. And he's like, like, they're suggesting, like, they're suggesting he suffered brain damage and is blind. And they end, like, it's a funny note. It's like, well, that's what you get. Such a weird ending. These two are getting embarrassed in public. Yeah, the beard comes off. That's not just some old beggar. Yeah, this might be the first movie where he really starts to make use of the environment. He's here on what looks like a hitching post for horses. There's no horses in the movie anywhere. But that's what it looks like, a hitching post. He even made his nose red like a drunk. It's pretty funny. So, yeah, obviously that is Dragon. Nice moves there. Now, that's a hard cartwheel to do. Do a cartwheel on something like that. I mean, obviously people can. You see gymnasts do a cartwheel on a balance beam. I mean, he just did the same thing there. That's just as narrow as a balance beam. Nice moves. Now he's just showing off for the crowd. Like, what is this guy doing? And, of course, he has to fall and hit his testicles. You can't not do that. Shouldn't have shown off. The guy always has a little length of rope with him. It's an interesting weapon. I mean, this is 1980. I think this was pretty unique at the time. Bruce Lee's been dead for a few years, but he never fought like this. Jimmy Wang Yu didn't fight like this. I mean, T. Lung, I think he would fight like this later, but not before. I'm thinking of some of the martial arts stars of the era. Just shows, how unique Jackie was in his style. Oh, here we go. So now he's gonna like imitate the style that the daughter was using to beat him up. It's kind of funny, and again, it shows his sense of humor. He's willing to make himself look a bit ridiculous. So now he's gonna imitate her style, the long flowing skirt, while he does spins and elegant kicks. It's pretty cool. This is one of the more memorable parts of the movie. Actually, how did I forget about it? We got some appropriate dance music. Look at that footwork. I mean, a fight scene like this would take a long time. I assume this took several days. I mean, some of those really elaborate ones you see, they take like weeks. Like Jay and I did City Hunter. And the end fight in City Hunter is between Jackie and, once again, Richard Norton. And that fight took like, I think 3 weeks for them to do the whole thing. Because it's just such a long, elaborate fight. The end fight of this movie is long. But it's not exactly. I mean, it's elaborate in so far in that it takes away the bells and whistles. It's just two guys going at it hand to hand. There's no objects. There's no weird environments. There's no weapons. But still, there's a lot of moves and choreography. But still, Jackie Wood sort of, I wouldn't say exactly abandoned this, but I do like that as it went on and you do the more modern things like the Police Story movies, and even though they're Sammo Hung's movies, like the Lucky Stars movies, you get more of a frenetic, realistic type of fighting that doesn't have the same rhythm as this, that I'll kind of let you know it's choreographed. Like I said, there's sort of like little starts and stops, little give and take. That's one of the things I love about Donnie Yen is like he was so far from that in most of the movies he did. I mean, he did do quite a few movies like sort of the Lucius style, but I mean, you watch something like SPL Killzone or Flash Point, and I know he had earlier movies like that too, but he's already older by then in his 40s. But in the movies, I guess, where he had more pull or something, he did highly chaotic fight scenes where there's almost no room for error, where, you know, if somebody makes a mistake, they're getting hit hard, and it looks so great. And that's one of the reasons why I love him so much. I'm not saying other fighters aren't capable. They are, or other actors, you know, Jet Li certainly was, things like that. But Donnie Yen Donnie Yen just seemed to do it in more movies, and that's why I like it so much. It was just high danger all the time, just fast, so fast. Okay, so he managed to get Tiger out of there, but now the cops are coming. Wow, he found out about Tiger getting arrested awfully quickly. Technically, Tiger wasn't even arrested. He just got shoved into the jail to be left for the cops. But anyway. Here's the old man and the whole police force, including his son. He was being quite dutiful here, holding the scabbard for his sword. Hard to get a beat on that character, because it seems, yeah, it's weird. It's like he's always annoying his father, but he seems to be a dutiful son to me. Anyway, they got away. He and Tiger are on the run, but they got chains on them. Okay, yeah. So he planned. Okay, so Dragon plans to take Tiger to the cop to try to explain everything being a misunderstanding. So here we go. He repents what he did wrong, attacking a police convoy in he was, and that is true. But it is true that, like, I don't know, if a gang kidnaps you and then, like, forces you to rob a bank with them, like, are you guilty of bank robbery? I don't know. Usually judges and juries will acquit you in those circumstances. What if I take your precious pipe, old man? Oh. Yeah, they keep calling him Kim. When I look it up here, they call him Kam. I don't know. I guess it's Kim. The bad guy. Who has been strangely absent for a long time. We haven't seen him since the scene where he got freed. I mean, his two hench guys just got beat. But we haven't seen him. The daughter's actually amused by this. Right, so this is the deal here. He's like, I'll let your friend go and clear him of charges if you capture Kim yourself. So here on the hill, here's Kim beating the hell out of his assistant guy, I guess because he knew that he informed. So I didn't talk about Kim. So Kim is, who's the actor called? I had a, yeah. That's Hwang In-shik, a Hapkido master. And at this point, he'd already retired. And he moved to Canada, and he opened up a dojang there, and he taught, and he has got to this day, I think he has a Hapkido school in Toronto. I mean, he'd be 82 now, so I assume he's retired, but for a long time, well into older age, he taught at that school. Maybe he has a son or somebody that teaches there now. He's still alive, though. He's 82. But anyway, he's a Hapkido master. And Jackie himself, I guess, convinced him to come out of retirement because he wanted him for this role. And actually, 2 years after this, he'd be the bad guy in Dragon Lord, too. But it's interesting. When you think about Hapkido, you think more about, like, some of the holds and throws and stuff. But obviously, he's quite adept at punching and kicking, as we'll see. So he found him on the hill, and we're coming to the end here. Here's the end fight. But Fittingly, he's in the film Hapkido, one of Angela Mao's movies. Angela Mao was definitely the most prominent and best female martial arts star of the 70s. She did 2 really good movies that I'm hoping to order from Eureka. One is Hapkido, the other is Lady Whirlwind. I've only seen scenes from them. I haven't seen the whole thing, but they're definitely regarded as classics. And he's in Hapkido. I don't know who he plays. Better watch out for a Sire Tail move. So we're at the end here, but this is a long ending. They're going to have this fight up on this hilltop. And it's long. Because here we go. We are at... We're at 1:26, an hour 26. This fight goes on for like 15 minutes. Now, there are a few breaks in it, but still, it's a lot of fighting. And again, there's no props. There's no furniture. There's no windows. There's nothing to use. It's just 2 guys on a hill. Oh. When Kim hit the other guy with the glasses, you see how the glasses broke? They would use that a few times, too. I remember they did that in the Police Story movies where this guy kept getting hit in his glasses, In real life, they'd never break like that. Kind of a cartoon effect. But as you can see at the start, Dragon's just no match for him. This guy isn't even really trying hard, and he's beating the hell out of him. He looks so different, too, because when he was freed, he had long hair and looked all wild. Now he's had his hair cut, and he just kind of looks like a dignified middle-aged guy. All right. So the assistant here, I guess, is rooting for Dragon because he figures, if he beats Dragon, he's going to kill me next. So the way this goes is, even though it's an actual fight and not a sport or something, the guy, I guess, is so confident that he allows Dragon to sort of take breaks, as we'll see. And the other guy starts treating it like he's a coach and it's rounds and stuff. But there's some Hapkido holds there. That would be very painful. Yeah, so he is doing some holds there. He's got his arm while standing on his other hand. There is a Hapkido school here in Halifax. I don't think I'd be good at it. Because I can remember a few times just in our Taekwondo class, every once in a while, just to shake things up, I remember our teacher, we wouldn't do Taekwondo. For a little while, we might not do Taekwondo techniques. Sometimes we did like self-defense things that involve things like, grabbing somebody's wrist and turning it. Like, I suck at that. You have to show me how to do that 100 times before I get it down. And I have to do it 100 times myself. You show me, a punch or kick or something like that. I can do that. That's simple. That's one thing. But I'm really bad at holds. He's got an iron grip on his wrist and he just can't get away. There we go. Yeah, now he's afraid to get anywhere in his range. He just want to get grabbed. This guy can do more than that. Nice kicks. It's a pretty brutal fight, really. For the first 10 minutes, it's just Dragon getting the shit kicked out of him. So here again, it's almost like another round. This guy's like his coach suddenly telling him, "You can talk. You're not the one getting hit." He always relies on his left leg. Yeah, I don't know about that. This guy is not some one-trick pony. I wonder where this is. It's nice. You can see other hills and lakes. I wonder where this was shot. I don't know enough about the geography. Maybe this isn't far outside Hong Kong at all. I don't know. It's a very hilly region. It's nice. Green hills, lots of open space. He is just kicking with the left for the moment. He is. But I think that's just to lull him into a false sense of... Stomp on his crotch. Oh, there it is. See, there's cuts and there's edits, but still, so much of this just lets us see. It's a weird vest. Oh, how many of those side kicks to the ribs can you really take? I wish I'd seen Thomas Stephen Thompson. He fought Kevin Holland last night. I didn't even bother watch. Apparently, it was a really good fight, and Thompson TKO'd him in just a striking battle. A lot of people are saying that Holland was an idiot because he should have tried to, grapple and take him down. Thompson's 30. Thompson's my age. He's 39 now. He's incredible. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be a champ or anything like that, but it's weird that he even went into MMA. I mean, he's such a pure striker. He's a karate expert and a kickboxer, but it's not like he's completely inept on the ground. I think he beat guys to try to take him down. But still, I'm surprised at this point in his career. He's 39. He's not going to have another run at the title or anything. I figure he should just go back to kickboxing, but he can do whatever he wants to do. Wonder Boy. Anyway, there, he finally landed a good blow. It took him that long to land a good blow against him, and he's coming right back. Oh, that side kick just sends him flying. Just like Bruce Lee used to do. That was one of the stories on the set of, I think it was The Big Boss, his first movie, where like one of the stunt guys he was working with just did not think he was anything good or real. They were down in Thailand. And he was just like, all right, let's fight. And like Bruce Lee just sidekicked him and sent him flying across the room. And that was the whole thing. It's hard to separate fact from fiction because there are a lot of stories about people getting in fights with Bruce Lee. And I found out some of them didn't happen at all. Like they weren't just exaggerated. Like they didn't even happen. But as far as I can tell, that is true. It wasn't really a fight. It was just he sidekicked the guy and he just went flying across the whole room. As far as I can tell, that's true. But there's a lot of stories going around about Bruce Lee on the set of this movie, that movie, this guy trying to fight him, that guy trying to fight him. I found out a lot of them aren't true. Or they maybe talked about it and it came to nothing. Like maybe somebody said they were going to fight him and then they didn't, or stuff like that. It's always interesting to think what the martial arts landscape would have been if Bruce Lee had lived. Because when he died, it created a void, and then there were all these imitators. And Jackie Chan was, at first, Shaw Brothers wanted he was going to be one too, and he didn't feel comfortable, didn't work out, and it wasn't until he got to be himself. Yeah, so here, it's the same thing. Like in a real fight, he'd already be over. But the bad guy is, again, I guess, so confident, and intent on punishing him, he's allowing him to take a bit of a break here. He's getting a water break. The guy's fanning him. He says, this is only the first round, remember? Yeah. So now he's acting like this goes, hold on for another 3 rounds. Are you fucking kidding me? Called him an old fart. He said, the old fart doesn't have it in him. You think so? Yeah, he really looks winded. Meanwhile, Dragon can barely stand. And he's like, no, I'm the referee. I'll have to check the referee. Okay, you're getting annoying. Get out of the way. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen Dragon Lord, but I really can't recognize him as the end guy in Dragon Lord because he looks older here than he looks in Dragon Lord, which is 2 years after that. So it just shows how easy it is to fool someone like me. Change somebody's hair or some facial, some facial hair, whatever. I can't do it. But speaking of like things that got Region A releases. Somebody, I can't remember who, just released Volume 1 of a Jackie Chan box set for Region A of a lot of his early movies. But a lot of the ones you'd expect, if like this one, aren't there. This isn't there. Fearless Hyena's not there. Drunken Master's not there. It also includes his first foray into American film, the Battle Creek Brawl, or sometimes Brawl at Battle Creek. It's on there, which is kind of interesting. But the only movie I'd say from there that's actually, it has 6 or 7 movies. The only one I think that is like really notable is Dragon Lord. So I don't know if I would buy that set or not. I can't remember again which movies are on there, but they're not ones that, if you know his filmography, they're not ones you would think about. Oh, man, look at that. Another kick to the ribs. Ooh, surprise attack. There's no more water, dude. Oh, there's still some water. I think you won that round. I don't think so. Hey, if you're the referee, then you can just stop the fight and say I won, right? Oh, right into it. That's kind of funny. Like we only see his point of view. We just hear the blows landing. I mean, that shows some adeptness as a filmmaker because it's just, it's not like we're missing much. There's just a long fight. We see a lot. So it's okay to miss a few frames there for the sake of some comedy. Just seeing the guy wincing and reacting to the sounds, it's good. I'm not saying it's super sophisticated or anything, but it's good. Oh, he tried to do an elbow drop. Blocked it. Did they do elbow drops in Hapkido? I don't know. I don't know enough about Hapkido. So easy to confuse Hapkido with Aikido. Hapkido is Korean in origin, like Taekwondo. Even some ground fighting there. I mean, they're not exactly grappling, but I mean, it's amazing that we're this far into the fight, and like in almost any other kind of movie, you'd be this far into this fight, like something would have changed. We're this far into the fight, and he's still getting the shit kicked out of him. Like he's landed a hit here and there, but 90% of it is still him just trying to avoid getting hit and getting hit. I'm getting too old for this kind of shit. He said that before Murtaugh. Axe kick. And that's like the 40th vicious kick to the ribs he's gotten. That one sent him reeling. He's gonna that insult to injury. He's gonna finish the water. So I mean, this fight's been going on this long, and Dragon is still losing. It's kind of amazing. Like nowadays, or in so many things, it's like by now something would have happened to turn the tides. Because at this point, to watch this fight for so long, you're like, how the hell is he going to win? I remember how. He basically wins by turning into like a rage monster. Oh, yeah, it's going to get rid of the rest of the water. I always do enjoy that aspect in a martial arts movie, though. Like, a lot of time you have the good guy beat the bad guy. He's at some sort of disadvantage, but then, I don't know, through like resolve or something. Yeah, this guy's saying it's water, but it's some sort of alcohol. It's like, it's water. I know it tastes funny, but it's water. I don't think so. You're just going to dehydrate him faster. But anyway, I do like the martial art movie where, like, the good guy or whatever decides he has to change his strategy. Like, what he's doing is not working to beat this opponent. And if he's going to win, he has to change things up. That's funny. That's kind of what happens here, although it's less technique and more rage. But but in his really famous fight against Benny Arquitez in Wheels on Meals, I really like that in that they're really evenly matched, but Benny just keeps beating him to the punch, and he can't get an advantage on him. He's too fast, and the way he decides to beat him is he just decides to loosen up and treat it as like a sparring session. So he starts talking to himself like it's like it's sparring and it's training, and he's just like, oh, let's go, come on, and that's kind of how he wins because he becomes less predictable by it. I always like when that kind of thing happens. Here in this, he's just like charging at him and taking a ridiculous amount of punishment, which there's no way would work in real life unless he's on like amphetamines or something and can't feel pain. Oh, that's some great stuff. I mean, you see that in so many martial arts movies. He gets kicked and just spinning. In real life, people don't spin like that when they're hit. I've watched so many MMA and kickboxing matches. I've seen people get one punch or one kick knocked out. I've never seen them spin through the air, but it's always so satisfying to see in movies. Oh, man. You gotta give credit. He's still beating the shit out of that other guy. He's up. I can't believe this shit. How's he standing? So, I mean, how long has this fight been going on? A long time. And now, finally, we're at the part where it changes. Yeah, he's just standing there taking the hits. And it seems like that didn't work because he's on his back again. He looks like a goddamn corpse there, but boom, bounces back up. Technique is out the window. It's all rage. Kind of a back fist. Not bad. Yeah, now he's actually jumping into the blows. Punch his hand, punch his wrist, punch his shoulder, I don't care. Yeah, now he's become like an animal. And I guess that's the difference here. This guy was used to overwhelming his opponents with force, but now, like, it's not working. Disable that leg. This turned into some sort of, like, Greco-Roman pancrase thing. It's pretty cool. It's like how they fought in the ancient Olympic Games. And again, it's interesting, the rhythm of it, because we know we're at the point where things have changed and he's finally getting the advantage, but he's still getting knocked down a lot. he starts flinging himself on the ground. I guess to prove it doesn't matter how many times you knock me down. I don't care. Look, I can take it and throw myself on the ground. This guy's insane. Aim for the face. I tried. You don't usually see Jack. Oh, that's awesome. He misses with the follow-up, though. But he gets right up. Tries again. Gets right up. 3 forward flips in a row. All landing on his back. On the run now. Oh, that would hurt. Headbutt. I love it. Headbutt to the solar plexus. This is like a wrestling move. Just drops him. I mean, he could have done a much more brutal drop there instead of landing butt first on him. Now he's in like a legitimate like pro wrestling hold with his legs. I know that's called something, but I don't know what it is. People who watch pro wrestling would know it. Folding him up into a pretzel. And at this point, okay, right, what is happening here? Well, obviously, they have replaced the actor with a dummy. So now we just get like this dummy in the dust, him just kicking it and smashing it and flipping it over. You were great, kid. I mean, they almost seem to imply that he's dead. Did you beat him to death? I mean, I could believe it. Yeah, you can have the belt. No, he's not dead. But they might as well be. Pretty badass. Carrying the two. Oh, he's bringing them to the school. Why would you bring them to the school? Aren't you supposed to bring them to the cop? Oh, well. I guess he wants to impress the cop, the school. So, yeah. So Dragon's name is Alum. Oh, no. He's not going... Oh, okay. He's not taking them to the school. He did take them to the cops. Just the people from the school running out to the street to see. And there he is, full body cast. Maybe he should go to the hospital or whatever you guys have. No. Triumphant. But it is pretty cool though, because you know, the more serious movies, it'd be like, oh, he's fine. But this is just like he won, but like every bone in his body's broken and he can't move. Got through by sheer force of will. There, flag me, YouTube. Flag me. Fucking assholes. So this is before he started. Yeah, so there's some shots from earlier in the movie, but it's not. That's the end. Also starring Yun Yu, Win Pei, Wong Yin Sik, So, the young master. Nobody showed up. I didn't expect anybody to. It's too bad. I hope that Jay and I can do something cool together soon. So since I was going to be by myself, I deliberately picked one that like people don't know or don't have because I was like, I'm not going to have to worry about other people finding the movie or anything like that. I just wanted to watch it. Matching choreographer too. The credits have not gone black, so it's still on as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, definitely one of his good early movies. It seems weird to me that that box set doesn't have that or Drunken Master on it. Makes me wonder what the selection there is or if there's rights issues or whatever. Not that there aren't other good movies that aren't worth seeing. For instance, one of them I think is like The Killer Meteors from 76, which is interesting simply because Jackie plays the bad guy in that, and that's not something he would really do in his career after that, but it's kind of interesting to think of him as a villain. I know Killer Meteors sounds like a sci-fi movie, but it's not. I haven't seen it, but it's part of that box set, so that's kind of interesting. So there you go. So yeah. Anyway, thanks very much to anybody watching this maybe in the future or something. Because it's definitely a cool movie, and if you're a Jackie Chan fan, you certainly should check it out, or martial arts in general. Hopefully some of the stuff I said was somewhat useful or interesting. Anyway, there's no need to linger. As I said, I'm hoping that Jay and I will get not only a show done this week, but do another live commentary, but I don't know. Things seem to keep conspiring to stop us and intervening, but we're going to try our best, and I'm going to try to make myself even more available. I'm not super busy. I mean, I should be able to figure it out. As far as like tonight goes, like my sleep's off a bit and I knew I'd be up late. So I needed something to take up some time. So this did that. So from that perspective, job well done, mission accomplished. Okay, The Young Master, 1980. Jackie Chan, Yin Bu to a certain extent. I never know what I'm going to do when it's by myself. Usually when it's by myself, it's really up in the air. I could do something like this again if it's going to be by myself, because at least then I don't, like I said, I don't have to worry about other people finding the movie to do it with. But I'm probably not doing one by myself for a while. I hope that I can do one with Jay and maybe Orc or somebody else going forward. Jess and I have plans to continue our animation series. I know that's been on hold for a bit. We're going to get that going again. I'd love to get something, one or maybe even two done coming up into Christmas. I know Christmas is a very busy time for people, so that'll depend, but I know he wants to do it, so we'll try to figure that out too. So stuff's happening on this channel, other channels, stay tuned. I know my channel is always kind of sporadic, and I want to be more consistent, and this is not really the best example of the stuff I want to do. You know, there's more unboxings coming up I could do, things like that, so we'll see. But anyway, I feel good about this. It was a good movie that I wanted to do, and maybe bring to some people's attention. Because, like I said, unless you're like a big fan of martial arts films or Jackie in particular, it's not one you might have heard of. It's pretty early in his career. It's the second movie he ever directed. It's pretty cool, though. There's a lot of things about it that I enjoy and stand out, and that end fight is really epic. So thanks so much, anybody watching this at any point in time, and we'll see you all next time with something. Peace out. Have a good one. Goodbye.